It's the Empowerment Perspective Radio Show, hosted by Demiso Josie, Kareem Spence, and Miss Stacy Sanderson Dick. Stay empowered. Stay empowered.
All right, welcome to yet another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Radio Show. I go by the name of Demiso Josie alongside.
This is here.
How we doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. As I told you, I don't crack under pressure, baby. We ready to rock and roll.
That's
right
good.
On time.
Right on time. Heard you had an adventure last night. People were trying to take you out and do things that you normally don't do.
Well, no, it wasn't so much as other people. It was just me. So I have like younger Kareem that's still in me, and younger Kareem doesn't understand the importance of having like a budget. So younger Kareem will go out and do stuff that older Kareem know he can't afford. So I go to the store and I want to spend $85. Right, I got some beer, I got some champagne for no reason, and I got some wine.
We can celebrate then. I think we should celebrate Boss's Day. So the other day, I didn't realize it was Boss's Day. I walk into my office and I get all these gifts. I'm like, is it Christmas? My birthday? I had to check my calendar. What was going on here? I'm talking about like gifts.
Like, they came strong?
They came strong with the gifts. I'm talking like $65 gift cards and not like, some scratch-offs and stuff, like some real gifts.
So they really appreciate you early.
Absolutely. I never got that love in my other school.
No, because it was like, yo, your gift is us coming to work today. That's your gift. You don't have no substitutes in the building.
So I was going to actually bring some champagne today and have us celebrate Boss's Day. And I was going to take it personal because I was like, nobody got me anything from the Empowerment Perspective group. But I had to realize we're changing how businesses operate. Everybody's a boss when it comes to the Empowerment Perspective group when you're working with us. So you come up with your idea and we kind of just make that thing happen. So it wouldn't be fair for me to say, you need to celebrate Boss's Day with the Empowerment Perspective group.
I was just going to say we petty. That's what I was going to say.
So the last show we had the cancer episode. I get a lot of feedback from that. My nephew Marcus and my wife called in. What you think about the show last week?
I think the message in itself was awesome. I mean, they provide some really good information for those that are going through not just the struggle of cancer, but just in everyday struggle, and making sure they have that support system, because your friends in the beginning are not going to be with you.
Yeah, that is true. That's a life lesson, that friends come and go. So that's one thing that I try to pride myself on and my family on, is that we try to put ourselves in a position where we don't necessarily need anybody. I'm not saying that from like a selfish perspective, but what happens is when you rely on people and they let you down, you're devastated and you can't, maneuver. So what we try to do is, if you can support us and help us, but if you say no, at the end of the day, it's not going to make a difference to us. No,
it's really not. Because you figure that, in the beginning, everybody's all sympathetic and they're empathetic, and they're like, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Come week 3, they're like, yo, something else happened, right? So we're going to be sympathized to somebody else. So get back at you. Good luck.
So I do have take a personal story. Shout out to my wife for this story. So for our kids, we try to push them as hard as we possibly can, and we obviously want them to do good and have a dream and a vision. So my one daughter wants to be a vet, which is awesome. My other daughter, she has a very caring heart. That's the proposal that we talked about last time. So she said, Daddy, I want to be a teacher. She told her mother that, my wife, and my wife had the audacity to say, you're smarter than that. You should not be a teacher.
Wait.
Now, should I take this personal, given the fact that my profession is in education, and she's telling my daughter that she should not be a teacher? That's not a good profession.
I think I'm with you, because the benefit that we have is seeing young people go from one point to another point, and having that light bulb go off when they say, okay, now I finally got it. I know what I want to do. Because coaching is, just one step away from, teaching is one step away from coaching, because it all falls in the same line. So your whole thing is to be able to help the other person get better. But saying that I'm not smart, I don't know.
I think I'm taking it personal because I think she's telling me I'm not intelligent.
I think
that's the way I took it.
I'm taking it the same way. So yeah, we're gonna have a talk. Next week we together, right? We're hanging out together. Yeah. So next week I'm going to be invited to the party. We're going to talk about this whole intelligence thing. I have some IQ tests I might bring with me.
Speaking of parties, I'm happy to report I do not have a party today. No party this week.
They gave me a week off.
They gave me a week off, but the next 2 weeks I got parties I got to go to.
Man.
So last weekend I went to Actually, I had a couple of parties I had to go to, but my good friend of mine, Melinda, she turned 40, so we went to Warm Daddy's in Philadelphia.
How was that?
It was okay.
Did you use my excuse?
No, I did not.
The acid reflex, you didn't use it?
I did not.
Okay.
They had Jaguar Wright was on.
Oh, yeah, she's hot.
She's hot. So she came back to Philadelphia and did her show. First of all, she was late. And then she couldn't stand up, so she was performing on the stool all night because apparently she fell or something in the shower, which is okay.
Wait. What do you mean you fell in the shower?
I don't know. That was her story. I'm just saying.
How big is the shower she's in?
I don't know.
Did she actually lay down flat? I mean, what?
I was not there, Kareem. I don't know.
We need video. We got to go to video.
We need video.
Yeah, we need highlights. We're going to break down this footage. Jaguar, send us a video. We're going to figure out what happened so it doesn't happen again.
But she performed very well, and, her voice is beautiful. And I'm sitting there. It was a big group of us. And I go to the bar to refill my drink. And the bartender had the nerve to say, you got to order through the waitress. I said, but it's the same money. It's going to the same place. Like, why do I have to?
You had to go through somebody?
I had to go through
middleman. You had to go through the middleman. You went direct right there to the connect.
Mind you, I already ordered a drink previously from the same bartender. But because I sat down and went back to the bar, she said I had to go through the bartender.
Okay, make sure I understand this. Right. You have to go through the middleman.
Yes.
In order to get access.
Apparently. So that was my weekend last week. It was good, though.
How was the food?
Food was good. I can't complain about it.
What did you guys have?
I had... I think I had fish. My wife had fried chicken.
Okay.
It was like, because it was a party, so you only had a couple of options that you could choose from.
No lobster?
No lobster. I had lobster at the Black Administrators meeting for educators. Shout out to that group. I went there on Thursday of this week. So we met as black men that are in education and administration, sat down. It was a networking event over there at Riverwinds out in I guess that's Westville or West Defford out there. So, food was really good. There. Huh?
They ain't want to be in Philly?
No, we're a New Jersey-based group.
So we can't go over that bridge, though.
True. This is true. So, Stacy, glad for you to join us.
Sorry I'm late.
They let you in the building?
Yes, thank you.
Security let you in?
Can we get a soccer update? What's going on?
She scored a goal today, so
okay.
I'm very proud. With a goalie. There was a goalie that was paying attention.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
And it wasn't just somebody just walking by?
No, she's good.
Okay.
I'm not a big soccer person. I don't know a lot about the game, but she's pretty good. I'm not bragging. She's
no, I think you are bragging.
She's got some skill. Doesn't come from me. She's
we have a female LeVar Ball in our hands.
Oh my goodness, no.
You should promote your child.
I'll promote my kids, but not to that level of pompous.
You need to be petty with your promotion, though.
Absolutely.
I need a coach. I need a petty coach. Kareem, you put your services out there.
I think she said she's going to pay you for your pettiness.
I'll need petty lessons.
You need petty lessons. Well, here's the other thing. You had to bring coffee.
All right. Well, I was already running late. Coffee here?
It'd be nice.
I was running late. I didn't.
Matter of fact, you're supposed to bring us water and all this healthy stuff. We have yet to get anything.
Right. You used to call me a soccer mom, and I'd only bring pretzels and stuff like that. You called me out on it, so I didn't bring anything.
So you don't have nothing in the car right now?
No, nothing.
I believe you. I believe you have. I know you got snacks. You got snacks. You got water. You got tissue in your car somewhere.
What's with the tissue? Why the tissue?
It's in case somebody, it's getting cold outside. In case somebody already knows, got to keep some tissue at all times.
That is too funny. Well, on this show, we're going to be talking about finances and financial freedom. We have a special guest in the studio. We're going to take a quick commercial break in a second. On the flip side of that commercial break, though, we have a petty correspondent now. Somebody that's out in New York that will be calling in and wants to share his petty story with us. So your pettiness is expanding.
That's good. I'm glad everybody's embracing their pettiness.
Yes, the T-shirts are coming out soon. Embrace your pettiness. Also, the disclaimer is coming out too.
Go put the disclaimer on the T-shirt.
Yeah. It's got a little more wording on his than ours.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna make sure that happens.
Yeah, I have a tendency to say stuff.
Right.
I should say.
All the time. Yeah. So on the flip side, we will be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned and stay empowered.
Look and feel your best for life. Utopia Salon and Day Spa. Give the gift of Utopia with a gift card. Massage, facials, skincare, hair design, nails, and more. It's more than a gift. It's an experience to remember. Stop in or purchase your gift card online at utopiasalonspa.com or download our new app and purchase right from your phone. Look and feel your best for life. Utopia Salon and Day Spa.
Award-winning BME Event Group is ready to get this party started. Offering DJs, photography, cinematography, photo booths, lighting, and special effects, your next celebration is sure to be a hit. BME is an all-inclusive wedding event group, now offering special bundle discounts for winter weddings that include multiple services. BME is now taking holiday session bookings for photography and DJs. Visit BMEEventGroup.com for more details. BME Event Group. The word average is just not in our vocabulary.
Come to the Ave in Vineland and visit the historic Landis Theater. On October 27th, the Bay Atlantic Symphony is performing music of Debussy, Defaya, and the famous Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 with Tomer Gewürtzman and the Landis Theater. Experience classical magic on October 27th at 3 p.m. at the historic Landis Theater. For season tickets or tickets for this show, go to landistheater.com or call 856-691-3600.
All right, welcome back to the Empowerment Perspective radio show. On this show today, we will be talking about finances and hopefully giving you some tips on how to gain financial freedom. But before we get to that, I'm going to introduce somebody new to the show. We now have a petty correspondent. Are you there, petty correspondent?
I'm here. Pettiness is here. Pettiness is arrived. How's it going today, everybody?
It's going good.
My name is Petty Ruxpin, and I'll be your petty correspondent for the day and maybe for the future. Let's see how this goes.
Awesome. So I was talking to you earlier today, Mr. Ruxpin, and you had a story that you wanted to share with us about your pettiness.
Well, honestly, I think that I just want to get a full understanding of, is it petty and was it petty? Okay. Considering all the things that happened in the story. Okay. So, if I may, if I'm allowed to, I'd like to begin and share with you some of the stories, and your callers and your listeners can decide. Hey, was it petty of me to do what I did in the end?
Yes.
Okay?
We got a 5-minute time frame though. So
5 minute time. Let's go. So. Recently, I changed jobs and I moved to a new city, and in that city, I was forced to stay with my in-laws. Yes, that's right, my in-laws. So I've been staying with my in-laws for about 3 months until I can close on my new property. And what happens? I get into it with what happens is I receive a call from my father-in-law that his friend needs to jump outside the house. I go outside the house. I give his friend the jump. I go back inside the house, and lo and behold, I forgot to end the call. Once I realize I forgot to end the call, I pick it up, and what do I hear on the phone? My father-in-law talking down on me. Yes, gentlemen and ladies, my father-in-law is talking down on me with his friends. And so what should I have done? Should I have hung up? Maybe, but the petty in me said, maybe let's just stay on the line and listen to what's going to go on from here. Maybe he's going to pull back and find a way to redeem himself. And an hour and 30 minutes into it, he didn't find any way to redeem himself. He continued on with his talking down on me. Needless to say, I waited at the house till he got back, and once he got back, I said to him, look, you could go talk to your friend and correct him and apologize and get him to apologize, or we can settle this right now. So then,
I just have a quick question. Prior
Go right ahead.
Because I'm like, I guess, a master in pettiness. I have a doctorate in it. Did you dress in all black when you had this conversation?
No, but I will tell you what I was wearing. Initially, when I gave him the jump, I was wearing basketball shorts and some sneakers.
Okay.
I did go back into the house, put on my roughest, toughest hoodie.
Okay, was it black?
A pair of jeans.
Okay, was it
tightened
black?
up my sneakers because my initial thought, and you can credit Miso with talking me off the ledge, was to open hand slap his friend, because I feel there's nothing more disrespectful you can do to another man than open hand slap him.
I agree. I'm with you. I agree. So, that open hand slap, that's pretty tough.
Yeah. So Miso talked me off the ledge, and he gave me a little bit of advice, and I said, you can correct him or not. But what happens is his friend beelines off. So then me and my, I don't know what I'm gonna call him anymore because he's dead to me basically. We're in the street and I'm saying to him like, yo, you just let your people disrespect your family that way. And he's reached a level of righteous indignation where he's hitting me with the old man belly. You know, y'all know what the old man belly is when they puff up like pufferfish and just like thrust at you like you're like I don't know what all that was about. Mm-hmm. So then we go inside and I have to go inside to get my dog. So I go inside to get my dog. I come back out. In the time that we're inside, he's showing me all the things that he wishes, you know, this, that, and the third. The whole time I'm calling him a coward, less than a man in the ways that you would call someone less than a man. Mm-hmm. Female dog, and my favorite, a disappointment. Mm.
So quick question.
Go ahead.
Did you move into your new place before you said all these things?
No. We're getting there. So then, and at one point in the, I guess we're going to call this hullabaloo, he pulls out the phone, his cell phone. Now, mind you, I pay for this cell phone. So I snatch it out of his hand because, again, my pettiness is all over the place. I snatched it out of his hand and said, don't use my expletive, deleted. So you see what I did there?
Thank you, appreciate it.
I said, don't touch my expletives, and I throw it to the ground. Then he picks up the house phone and decides to call the cops on me.
Mm-hmm. That's very petty of him.
Completely. Because I haven't put my hands on him. I haven't put my hands on anybody. I've never shown him to be a particularly violent person. I'm a big enough dude. I could, though. He could have caught these hands, but I didn't. Because you know, like, it just wasn't. I'm not going to put my hands on my wife's father. That's just not what you do. I have a little bit more couth than that. Mm-hmm. But then the cops come. The cops talk to me, this, that, and the third. And I'd already talked to my wife a couple times. I talked to his lady a couple times. You know, we went back and forth. We had a nice little conversation between me and the police. The police said, "Oh, I've seen this dude before." Not me, talking about that dude. I've seen this dude before. You need to leave. He said, "You just need to leave." He said, "Go find somewhere." So I ended up spending a lovely evening in the Red Roof Inn with my dog. So here's the petty part. And you guys can tell me if this is petty. And I don't attribute this pettiness to myself. I give it 100% to my wife, lovely woman. But she said, since he wants to talk all that Italian, what you need to do is, with the phone, take that phone and cut it off. You pay the bill, turn it off. So the entire time since yesterday and today, he's been without a cell phone. And it's been off, and he's been cursing my name even more because he don't have a phone no more.
So you think that's petty?
Well, I think he.
I'm just asking, was that petty or was that petty enough?
No, you didn't go. You didn't go far
more
enough.
Than I could have done.
You didn't go far enough. See, in the time
I didn't go far enough.
No, you didn't. No. You should have reached out to me because I would have gave you some more tips. Not only should
it's not my fault.
No. Not only should you have turned the phone off, but you should have actually changed the locks on the house. Like, you should have just went beyond pettiness. Like, just took his toothbrush, right, and just got rid of
it. It's his house. How you gonna lock down?
He doesn't use a toothbrush. He doesn't have to.
Oh man.
Now the other thing you could have done, instead of putting your shoes on, just in case you guys did get a little tough, you don't want to mess up your own shoes. You should have put his shoes on. So if anybody's shoes and clothes are going to get messed up, he's going to mess up his own stuff.
That's petty.
It is petty.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you don't mess up
but
your own
the thing
stuff.
is, I wouldn't want to wear none of that. I don't fit in the old man puffery.
That's okay. That's okay. It's not, see, you're thinking too logical right now. You need to think petty. Do I really want to mess up my own stuff?
You're right.
Oh my goodness!
So we're going to be holding petty classes pretty soon.
Yes.
We're going to come up with a curriculum.
Is there a seminar?
Yeah, we're going to have an online seminar.
We're definitely having a seminar. So thank you for calling in with your petty story. We'll see you next time in our petty correspondent.
I'll have some more pettiness soon.
Absolutely.
The cops just get called on me.
Yeah, stay petty and stay away from the Jake.
All right, man. Stay petty. All right, that was our petty correspondent out there and in the world. I'm not going to say where he is right now, but he will be coming with more petty stories. But today's show is about finances, so we want to get to the meat of this particular episode. So we have a special guest in the building, Mr. Ben Pitts. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
All right. Thanks for coming all the way down here to Millville. Can you explain what you do and what company you represent?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Ben Pitts. I am a principal and co-owner in Cypress Financial Planning, based in Cherry Hill. Beyond that, I'm a father to 3 little kids and a husband to a wife who I feel kind of at home. She's an educator. So Cypress Financial Planning, we provide holistic financial planning and investment management for about 200 families or so, mostly in southern New Jersey, Philadelphia area, but we've got clients all over the country just through referrals.
All right, sounds good. So we met. Our daughters played on the same soccer team. I think I was coaching that time. And
who won?
You were.
She was on our team.
Oh, same team?
She was on the same team.
Okay.
Did we win it all? I'm not sure.
I think we only lost. We lost 2 games, and I wasn't coaching those 2 games.
Do you have a goalie?
Huh?
Do you have a goalie?
Yes, we were playing real soccer. And I don't know what y'all play out there in the middle of the sticks, but we play real soccer. You know, we got throw-ins and penalty kicks and all that
They
stuff.
got that this year.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out this whole theory of bending it like Beckham. Now, how's that happen?
We got to get to finances, man.
All right,
We'll talk about that.
Well, that's money. That's big money because if you
Beckham
can bend
has
it like
money.
Beckham,
Yeah.
man, listen, you talking about you can write your own ticket.
Right. So I want to get into this concept. 2019 is coming, and what can we do to start preparing financially for the new year? Because I feel like when the new year hits, it's too late. So I'm always on this, trying to get people prepared now. Because to me, 2018 is already over. I know we're in the 4th quarter of it, but if you haven't already, reached your goals by now in 2018, you might as well start thinking about 2019. So how can we prepare financially for 2019?
Yeah, I think preparing for 2019 is no different than preparing for the rest of your life. And I think, this show is all about perspective. And I think perspective is really important when it comes to finance. And the most important thing is kind of where are you today and where do you want to go? And I think most people, they sort of lack clarity on where they are today from a financial perspective, and certainly where they would like to go. And I think in addition to where you are today, where are you headed based on what you're doing now, and what's the gap between where you're headed and where you want to go. So as far as 2019 goes, I actually think what folks can do between now and 2019 to prepare financially for 2019 is figure out between now and then where are you,
right,
and what are the changes that you need to make in your life.
Good point. I think one of the things that a lot of people also fail to understand is how much money they need to really realize how much money they need to, sustain their family and their situation. Like, I think people go after money and say that they just want a whole bunch of money. Like, you don't have an understanding of, okay, in these, let's say $150,000 will make my family operate. Right? And I don't think they take enough time to look at what you actually need to sustain the lifestyle and stuff that you have right now. And are you meeting that financially? I think that's a huge piece. So I think part of starting, the planning is, like you said, figuring out where you are, but also figuring out what your family needs in order for you to, be successful.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And at the end of the day, it's different for everyone. $150,000 is sort of or $1 million, whatever the number is sort of meaningless unless you understand the context of your own situation. So there are different finances. I think what's most important is sort of the timeline. So regardless of the timeline, if you think about the next 3 months or the next month, can I pay my bills? The next 3 months, can I pay my bills? The next year, typically within a year, you're thinking about, can I actually pay my bills? Can I cover my expenses and save for the future? And then thinking further out, 5 years from now, it might not be just about bills. It might be about, can we afford to buy the home we want to buy? Can we afford to send our kids to a private school, whatever that may be? And then as you think further out, 30 years or 20 years, depending on how old you are, you're starting to think about things like retirement. And again, it's important for people to understand where they are relative to each of those timelines. So where am I relative to my ability to pay my bills, my ability to save right now? Where am I relative to my goals for the next 3 to 5 years? And then where am I relative to those longer term goals? Right. But it all starts with sort of really having an understanding of where you are, that knowledge, and you can't get that knowledge without actually putting pen to paper and sitting down and really actually thinking about it, which is what most people don't want to do. Most people bury their head in the sand. They don't want to think about it because they actually think it'll be bad news. In my experience, most people are pleasantly surprised that it's a little bit better than they think it is.
Right. It's interesting you should say that, because I hate writing down like a budget, and I hate writing down, what I need to move, where I need to move money from. My philosophy has always been, I'm going to make more money tomorrow, regardless of what it is. I'll figure it out later type thing. So, but one of the things I wish somebody would have done to me when I got out of college was to talk to me about finances and how to, financially plan for my future. So what advice can you give a student that's freshly out of college? They finally got their first job in their first department. Like, what kind of financial advice would you give to somebody that's just starting a career?
Yeah, I think it really starts at that point. You don't have a whole lot to think about, and interestingly, at that point in your life, you're just getting out of I think you said college, right? Out of college, you're probably just starting to make some money. Hopefully, you have a job, and between that point and when you get married or really have kids, it's probably the best point in your life to start thinking about your finances, because you can actually have an impact on it. I'm at the point in my life now where I've got 3 kids, a wife, a home, expenses, beyond what I ever want. And it's hard at that point to actually save. So if I'm coming out of college right now, I would encourage people to read, watch YouTube videos, learn as much as you possibly can about just finances in general, whether that's budgeting, whether that's investing, whether that's saving for retirement, saving for other goals. Because that's an ideal time to save. Right. And then when you think about the power of, if you're able to save between the time you're, call it 22 and when you might have your first child at 30 or so.
Or never.
or never. That works too. If you're able to save at that point because of compound interest, because of how finances work, you're so far ahead of the game, and most people don't realize that. So that is the most critical thing, is to get started early, which most of us don't do.
So let me ask this, because finance is so important, and we want to make sure that we are educating, not only young people but older people. Why haven't we included this into our curriculum as far as education? Like, why don't we have a class that's similar to like your math or science, whereas though we just concentrate on finances and prepare in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know the answer to it. I would assume it's because people are preparing their students to go to college, and it's all these career paths. And in a lot of ways, you look back 30 years ago when my father was, kind of early in his career, people didn't have to think about it as much. There were defined benefit plans, pensions, the school district or the state or the, Ford, whoever you're working for was saving for you. So they didn't have to think long term about, certainly about retirement. And what's really changed over time is that government started shifting, and companies started shifting responsibility from the company to the individual, and the education around that has not really stayed ahead of that or caught up, actually. So people have more responsibility than they've ever had. To your point, no one's kind of come in and provided the education, and that's actually a big part of my passion.
They will. They will.
It's coming. It's coming.
They will.
So I feel like it was a setup, because
we play chess here.
Yes, absolutely. So what we're doing with the Empowerment Perspective Group, we're actually formulating some financial literacy for middle school age kids, and even obviously high school kids and college kids too. So it's coming. When I tell you 2019 is going to be big for the Empowerment Perspective Group, that's just one of the things that's going to happen. So we obviously recognize that there's a need for education in that particular area, because growing up, no one taught me how to save money. No one taught me how to move money, and definitely benefits and all that stuff. I had no idea what that meant. So to educate these young people now and giving them the tools now we're talking about putting them in a space where they can generate generational wealth.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's really, really all about for us.
Yeah, so you figure that the average student may go out and spend $200 on a pair of Jordans, but won't take $15, $20, to try to invest, like say EA Sports. When Madden first came out back in, I want to say 1990, I think the initial public offering was like maybe $15, $20. Now when you look at it, I think it's close to like $75, $80. So had someone older told us, like, hey, if you love this, why not put some money into it instead of just buying the game? Now what happens is that you're creating wealth, long-term wealth.
One of the things I stole the idea from my brother. my kids right now have portfolios, and they obviously don't understand what it is and to mean to invest and stuff like that. So what I'm doing right now, instead of getting them birthday gifts because they are unfortunate to have family to give them birthday gifts, I dump a bunch of money into their portfolios, and every month there's money coming out of my check into their portfolios. It's to the point now they got way more money than I do. So you want to ask somebody some money, you might want to ask.
Still asking for birthday party money.
Are you telling me that it's about to be the topsy-turvy? Was that you got to present a proposal to your daughter for money?
That's exactly what's going to happen. I would love for that to happen. But when they get to of age, probably starting their teenage years, I'm going to start teaching them how to, how to move their money so that they can manage their own accounts by the time that they're 18. And they'll have that nest egg in there. And they'll have money for, if they wanted to use it for college, they can use it for college, but they want to use it for, whatever. I don't do the 529 plan and all that stuff. I feel like I need more control over the money. Not that the 529 is not bad. For those that are listening, the 529 is basically a investment portfolio for college savings. It's kind of sorted that way, but it's never too early to start teaching your kids about how to save money and to move money around, basically, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think the critical lesson for younger kids to learn, and I'm not sure I learned this lesson too well, it's actually to really just put money aside and not think about it. So whether that's 10% or 15% of every dollar they ever get, put that aside, and it just becomes habitual. And folks that in my experience, we work with some individuals that are wealthy. We work with individuals that are not so wealthy, sort of all over the board. But the folks that have built wealth over time are the ones that are, paying themselves first. They're saving before they do anything else, and it has to become habitual. So there's no choice to buy the Nikes or not. It's I got $100 today. I'm putting 15 of those dollars away. I have $85 left to spend. So it's a bit of a different perspective, and I think in many communities that perspective is missing. In a lot of cases there just was never any money to put away.
Right?
So that's another challenge.
Buy me a starter jacket. That's what it is. So let me ask you. So when you're looking at 100% of your net income, how much? Because I go to church, so 10% automatically goes to
tithe. Yep.
So are you saying that we need to be able to focus on living off of 75%?
That would be the rule of thumb.
75%.
Yeah, the rule of thumb is to actually save about 75% of your net income each year, and that's for retirement. So there's research that shows if you save 15% every year until you turn 65, you will likely have enough saved to live until you pass away, which is. Very, very few people actually put away 15%. But yes, if you're a tither, that would mean you'd need to put away about 25% of your income.
And that kind of goes back to my point earlier, figuring out how much you need for your family to, live the lifestyle that you want to live, because you have to then you can take in consideration that I need that 25% to go, either to tithe and saving and stuff like that. So you have to have a baseline. You have to understand what you're working with before. And yes, it is a good idea to put it down on paper, even though I hate doing it. But you definitely need to make that happen. So
if I could just caveat that real quick, for the college student that's 22 years old, it should be, they won't tell you it's easy, but it should be easy for them to put that 15% or 25% away, because they don't have any real expenses. I have my rent. Now, again, it comes down to how much income do you have. So it depends on who you are. But that's probably the only time in your life where it's one of the two times in your life where it's easy to do that. Once you have kids, it gets more difficult. So very few people are able to save 15% every year throughout their life. If you can put away more than that when you're younger, it might be less than that during those tough years. And a lot of people, what most people don't know, and for the folks that are a little older listening in right now, it's generally when your kids are grown, are now done college, they're out, you're at your peak earnings period, and you're back at a point where you can save a much larger percentage of your income. So that's when a lot of people make up what was lost. But
so we shouldn't panic when we have young kids and we're not putting anything away.
No, don't panic. Do not panic, because we have a lot of clients that are in that situation, and I'm in that situation. It's just more difficult. So
how do you handle when your clients have, like me? I'm an impulsive buyer. So I may say, we're on vacation. He may say to me, hey, look, it's $100 a night. Let's stay here. I may say, no, I need to be up there, and it's going to cost about $500 a night. How do you handle clients that are really impulsive with their money?
Other than tell them not to be impulsive? No, I'm just kidding. I think people have different personalities, and people, some things matter to individuals that don't matter to others. And so if being an impulsive buyer, it sounds like on vacation, is your thing, that might be okay.
It's like every Friday. It's my day.
Oh, every Friday. That's a problem. We tell them to go to counseling.
I do need some counseling.
How's a counselor going to go to counseling?
Yeah. I'm going to be counseling the counselor. Your technique is wrong.
It really is all about sort of really identifying what matters to you. And there are people where certain things matter. At the end of the day, there comes a point where a financial advisor can't really be all that helpful to individuals that are too impulsive. But again, it comes back to understand, where do I want to be? And if people don't understand where they want to be, and they don't understand where they are and where they're headed, you can't make a different decision. But if you knew that spending that extra $100 on a Friday night was going to make you work 5 times longer, would that change your perspective? If you knew that spending that $100 every week was going to, I don't know, not be able to send your kids to college. So all of us have different sort of triggers, if you will, that will change our mindset. Money's all about psychology and understanding the individual psychology.
Right. And I was going to say that as long as you put yourself in a position where you can do stuff like that, and like you said, not really hurt your family unit or anything that
is important. Unit.
But I was going to say, you can do that. That's why I stay in $100 hotels, because
the other option is to make more money, like Miso said.
Yeah, I'm all about living the life that you want, but at the same time, you got to be smart about it, and hopefully put yourself in a position to be able to do that where it won't hurt you. Like Jay-Z said, unlike Hammer, 30 million won't hurt me, because he put himself in a position to be able to do that. Those people that are impulsive and buying stuff, and you, like you said, the kids ain't eating or whatever, and they ain't got clothes on, now that's a problem now. You being petty and selfish at that point in time.
You got to grow up hard. Listen.
Yeah.
Better go out there and sell some water.
One other topic I want to talk about is how to get access to your money and putting it into the right places, because I see a lot of people do things with investments and stuff like that, and yes, they may have a whole lot of money, but they may not have access to it. So for example, the 529, if I put a whole bunch of money in that 529, I don't have access to it. God forbid something happens. I mean, there's ways to get around it, but what advice can you give us in terms of access to your money? Like, where's a safe place to...
Yeah, well, I think, again, most people have money for different purposes. So there's money to pay your bills, and that should not be anywhere else other than a checking or a savings account. And that's, bucket number one. Bucket number two would be having an emergency savings, having enough money put away so that if you have to take your kid to the emergency room, or yourself to the emergency room, or you have an impulsive buy, having enough that typically 4 to 6 months is what you ought to try to put away. Most people don't have that much put away, but you need to have access to about 4 to 6 months worth of money. Some people have that in their home equity, right? So that would be one form of emergency savings. At times, it makes sense to borrow from your home,
or Demiso,
or relatives.
I told you I don't have money. My daughters have all the money, and you got to come with 3 or 4 or 5 proposals before you even get a meeting with them.
Now, when it comes to saving for other goals, like a 529 plan, putting away for college, there are tax advantages to that, and those advantages come with consequences. And so you shouldn't be putting money into vehicles that have consequences unless you know that you've got enough money that, whether there's an emergency or paying your bills, you can pay those bills and not pay those penalties. So a 529 plan would be one of those, a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, a 401k. The government gives tax benefits with all those, and you shouldn't be putting money in there that you'll need access to in any period of time where it's not meant to be taken. So.
Okay, we've been talking to Ben Pitts about finances. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the flip side of this commercial break, we're going to talk about debt and how we can get out of debt, because a lot of us are spending a lot of money, and the debt is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and we need to figure out how we can get ourselves out of that. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Gary Monteroso, and I just love the sound of beer being poured into a glass. If you also enjoy a cold brew, then join Tara Nurin and me every week for What's on Tap. We'll bring you tasting reviews, some of the top personalities in the beverage world, and much more. Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 99.9 FM, 1240 a.m., and online at snjtoday.com.
Hi, Hi, this is Annabella.
And Josephina from Joe's Butcher Shop.
Come out to Joe's Butcher Shop.
You will find the freshest meat locally.
We have the finest steaks, quality boneless chicken breasts, and delicious flavorful roasts. Deli meats, fresh produce, and so much more. So stop on by at 711 Gershall Avenue, Normal, New Jersey, and say hello.
Joe's Butcher Shop
at 711 Gershall Avenue, Normal, New Jersey. We look forward to seeing you and feeding you well. So stop on by to
Joe's Butcher Shop.
Hi, I'm Gary Monteroso, and I just love the sound of beer being poured into a glass. If you also enjoy a cold brew, then join Tara Nurin and me every week for What's on Tap. We'll bring you tasting reviews, some of the top personalities in the beverage world, and much more. Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 99.9 FM, 1240 a.m., and online at snjtoday.com.
All right, welcome back to the Empowerment Perspective radio show. We just heard a commercial from Gary Monteroso. We were just hanging out with him last weekend.
Yeah, listen, Gary is a fun guy.
Yes,
he gets invited to all the top events.
Absolutely. So we were down there in Atlantic City networking and having a little bit of fun. We're working everywhere we go, and having fun all the time. But we've been talking to Ben Pitts about finances, and we're going to hit a topic. I heard Stacy over there. I need to listen to this.
I think she got her
pen ready, notebooks ready. You're supposed to be asking questions, not taking
I've got a few questions.
It's all good, though. But we're going to talk about debt and how we can get out of debt. I kind of feel like the systems are set up, right? I mean, everything that you do obviously costs money, especially you go to college. You're talking about a lot of money that people can't afford, but they're making it a necessity for us to go to school at this particular point.
You can't go anywhere, because even today I had to stop and get me a wire for my phone. And she was like, well, I can give you 10% off if you sign up for a credit card. I'm like, no, I just want to buy a wire. It's only like $9. You want me to sign up for a credit card to get 10% off a $9 wire.
Yeah, so everything costs. And obviously, we don't talk about having access to cash. They've created a system where you don't need access right now. But it's going to build up this pot of money that you're going to have to pay back, or your family's going to have to pay back. They coming for their money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, they coming for that money.
Definitely. So, some advice that you can give us in terms of, I have a family now, and I've racked up these credit card bills, and I'm living check to check. Like, how can I go about getting some of this debt down?
Yeah, again, it starts with kind of having an understanding of where you are, and I think most people get into debt because they don't really have a good sense of how much money they're spending relative to their income. They think they do, but they really don't. And so if you're in debt, it's probably because you've had – look, some people get into debt because they've had a family emergency. Other people get into debt because they just can't stop buying the new shoes that come out. I think either way, it starts with understanding, where am I? If I sit down this month, I have my income and I have my bills, at the end of the month, where will I be? And if that number is negative, it's likely that you're going to grow your debt. So it starts there. And paying off debt starts with stopping building up debt in the first place. The second step would be, and I would encourage people to do this at the same time, is understand what your debt is, how much you have, what are the interest rates, and start to think about the priority of paying those down. But again, you can't think about how fast you can pay those down until you understand how much excess income you have in any given month. And it takes writing down and having a plan, having a sense of from each month, from this month, 6 months out, how much excess income do I have? Which credit card bills should I pay down first? Of course, there are good strategies that you can take to make sure that you pay less interest and shift the credit card balance to a 0% interest card. But a lot of people get into debt because they play that game. If you get serious about it, you write it down, you have a plan, you'll start to pay that debt off. For most people, it takes getting a little bit angry about it and being really upset that I have this debt and saying I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not good for me. It's not good for my family. But again, people bury their head in the sand, and until they sort of get that emotional trigger, they're probably not going to change. Once you have that emotional trigger, most people have the power to change that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my family situation, and we're finally getting to a place where I don't think we have, we have everyday debt that you're going to have anyway. But the credit cards and all that stuff are finally, done. And I think we looked at it as, like, when I go to the casino, right, I go there with the idea that I'm going to lose this money. Like, I don't go there and think that I'm going to win all this money.
We've had this conversation before.
But
football games, gambling, everything. I'm not going to win.
But my point to this is that I kind of looked at paying down debt the same way. Like, you talked about putting money away and not looking at it and pretending it's not there. So I just, for the longest time, pretend like I didn't make that much money, that I didn't miss it, because I had to pay down this debt. So this didn't exist. So the mentality was, like, I go to the casino, I'm going to lose this money anyway. I'm making my $150 donation to the craps table, or I'm making a $150 donation to the credit card company. You know what I'm saying? So, and it kind of worked itself out that way. We also did some strategic things, I can't say on air, but to get it down. But it took, like you said, it took us getting angry about it. And I didn't want to pass it down to my kids and have them suffer.
You didn't want to put the cable bill in her name?
Had to get the cable bill and the phone bill out their name, put it back in mine. So, you definitely have, we talk about this all the time, having a why. At the end of the day, you have to have that why in order to push through. Otherwise, it's going to be easy for you to be like, all right, let me get the Jordans. Let me stay at the W for $500 a night. Yes. But it's interesting.
So it's a good point to me. So you at the end of the day, if you've got $5,000 in credit card debt, if you lay out a plan, you can figure out, if I just paid $700 a month or whatever the number is you can afford. There are tools online where you can figure out how long would it take me to pay that debt off. And if you live within your means, and your means now are reduced by that $500 a month that you're paying, it's math. You'll be able to pay that debt off over time.
So. Another game we play is how fast can I pay this off? So, like, for example, my card note, like, I make double payments every month just because my goal is to get it paid off as fast as I can. We do the same thing with our mortgage. We pay it twice a month, and we are slowly, obviously, getting our mortgage paid off, hopefully, so somebody in my house can retire soon, hopefully.
It's not you. Just so you know, let's say somebody. I'm telling you, listen, I'll put $100,000 there. It won't be you that's going to retire early.
I'm okay with that, though. I'm okay with that. So, but if you can, and you have the ability to pay twice a month, try doing it. Even if it's on small things. I have a small loan out right now. Double up. Try to get it paid off as fast as possible.
Or just paying an additional $10, $15, whatever extra that you have, just go ahead and give it to them, and you start seeing that principal start to decline. That principal decline, now the interest rate declines. So.
You cannot pay off a credit card paying the minimum payment. No. I mean, you can, but it's going to take you a long time.
It's on the statement too. They actually show you the minimum, how long it'll take, and if you pay this much, you'll cut it down by a few years.
Exactly.
And this is why I say the system's against you. So when I'm paying twice a month and I do it electronically through my bank, I get a message saying that this is a duplicate thing. Are you sure you want to?
They want to talk you out of it.
Right, they try to talk me out of it. I said, are you working for these people?
And depending on how you feel, you may say, you know what, you're right. Maybe I
ain't gonna pay that.
It's nice that they alert you, though, because if you did it by mistake, it would take a few days to undo it.
Well, there's going to be a conversation because Becca's going to say, well, it says here that you said no. What happened? Where's the money?
Where that money?
He's going to be dressed in all black.
Yeah.
Well, this brings up a good point, and it's just people need to think about interest. What you're insinuating is that the bank may actually want to get that interest because they profit from that interest. And I think if we think about that from our perspective, if we have debt and we're paying interest, that's not to our best interest. But if we have investments and we're making interest, that's to our best interest. So our goal is to be the bank in a lot of ways and lend our money to people rather than interest, borrowing.
Why is it that when you take money from them, the interest rate is a lot higher from when you give money to them? So you're talking about savings accounts.
That comes down to credit risk, and we're probably generally higher credit risk than the bank.
I shouldn't trust the bank, but the bank doesn't.
Depends on the bank. Most banks are pretty good on their money. There were a couple that didn't make it in 2008, but most are pretty good at paying it back.
They won't give me 3% interest, 1.5% interest on the money that I'm letting you sit there.
So obviously, if you've been paying attention in the news, you have the lotteries at what, 1.5 or 1.6 billion dollars right now.
That's where it is.
I think that's where it is right now. So nobody hit.
I got to stay off the sports network.
You got to
start reading.
Start doing that. So, what would you do with all that money if you got it?
Who, me?
Yes.
I can't tell you because then you know how to find me.
That's petty.
It is. Listen, I'm thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead. If I tell you where I'm at, then I'm going to have to move 3 or 4 other places. I got to have a middleman to tell you to throw you off. So you wouldn't be able to find me. I'm on my own island.
Stacey, what would you do with the money?
I have no idea. I'm going
to buy water,
pretzels,
and
tissue.
Yeah. The mom stuff. I don't know. I guess I would have to try to set up things for generations in my family that they would never have to worry. But I'd probably give most of it away. What would you do with all that?
I would be that mystery person. Hey, remember we used to have a cousin named Kareem? Yes, you used to have a cousin.
That's right. They all come out. You have billions of cousins you never knew about.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden you're the godfather for everybody's baby. And
yeah, I used to know him. Yeah, you used to know me.
I think I would make stipulations on it. Like, you can't get this money until you've got your doctorate or you've done something. I think that I would make people work for it, my family work for it. I wouldn't necessarily just give it to them.
Yeah, money that comes easily goes easily, and that's why you watch the shows. The lottery, the lottery ruined my life. And most people, it's less about lottery because most of us don't have any chance of winning the lottery. I don't recommend playing the Mega Millions.
We have a guy though.
but it comes. People will get windfalls, right? You know, a family member may pass away, and you end up inheriting an IRA, or you get a bonus at work. And I think the same principles apply when you get some sort of a windfall. What do you do with that money? And I hate to keep saying it, but it comes back to kind of where are you in life and what do you need to do? Obviously, if you had $1 billion, it changes the game a little bit. But
I was going to say that too. That it comes down to me to values and what you find important in life. And I look at all these athletes who have all this money and then blow it away because their values are shot. There's no ground for them. So when you're grounded and you have the values that you have in place, then you get a little bit of money. You know how to maneuver, and it'll last longer because you'll put your money in the right places. You won't just spend it because you've never had it before. So that's really important. We had a guy that we used to work with. He's a security guard down there, and he played the lottery all the time.
Yes.
And I'm not going to do the story much justice, but the one day he came in with a scratch off, and he was all happy. He won like $20,000 on the scratch off. So he comes up to the office. I'm like, why are you still here? Why don't you go get your money or whatever? So he leaves work early.
Lose money. Yeah.
Lose money. Lose work early. Goes home, shows his wife. They're all happy, whatever. And then shows his sister. Come to find out, he didn't scratch off enough of the thing.
No.
And the number was completely different.
Yes.
So he lost money on it. But he constantly wins, though.
Yeah, he won $10,000 not too long ago, and he told me he won $1,500. I'm like, yo, what store are you going to? He's like, yo, I'm going over here to Wawa. I said, oh, okay. I can't see myself just putting money into like a vending machine and expecting to have a windfall.
I used to work, though, at a place that we sold lottery tickets, and there would be people that would spend their entire lunch break in there just scratching off tickets, the entire lunch break. Yeah. They would leave, they would come back, and I'm just like, you probably dropped $50, $60 on scratch-offs, didn't win anything. Yeah. So you got to play a lot, I think, to win. You might get lucky once in a while, but...
Which means when you win $10,000, you probably paid $9,500.
That is too funny. So we have a traditional question that we have on this show that we ask everybody. So we want to know, are you petty, sir? And would you consider yourself petty?
No, I'm not.
He's lying.
He's lying.
Listen, you can't be involved in money and say you're not petty.
I'm not petty.
You petty with other people's money. Like, no, you should not be buying that. Yes.
Yeah, well, no. Again, it comes down to perspective. I think I tell people all the time if they want to spend money on a certain thing, they can. They might want to think about what does that mean for the rest of their life. But I'm actually not a petty person. I am very high level, cool, calm, collected. I was listening to the what do you call himself?
Petty Ruxpin.
I was listening to him. I would not have that story with my father-in-law. I probably would have just hung up the phone and walked away. I'm sure I can be petty. You'd have to ask my wife. So.
Is she available? We'll call her.
pretty sure she has some petty stories. She might get really petty.
Why are you guys calling me? You know he's petty.
That is too funny. We'll find out if you're petty soon enough. Just some things coming up in the future for us at the Empowerment Perspective Group. As we mentioned, we're going to be doing the financial literacy piece. So that will be dropping in 2019. We're going to be hitting the road again. We're scheduled to be down in Atlanta, I think Vegas again, for some conferences. We got some other calls coming in as well. Our holiday season is coming. We need to get our act together in regards to giving back to our communities. So we'll be hitting up a community and giving out turkeys and feeding families and giving toys and stuff to communities. So that's what we're going to be doing soon. So be on the lookout for that. Big shout out to Old Brother down there in Philadelphia. On 2nd and Market. They're still a major supporter of the show. They're just opened up. Actually, today is a big day down there. It's Temple's homecoming. So shout out to my Temple family out there. And the owner, one of the owners, played on the football team that I played with at Temple. So down there in Old Brother. So if you're down there in Philly, give them a shout out and make sure you go see them. Stacey, do you have any tips for today?
As we're making this journey for a more positive mindset, I think we need to start being more grateful. I don't have
paper.
notes.
She has nothing. She has nothing.
I have nothing. I didn't write anything down either. But it's definitely the season for being grateful for what we have. And I think a lot of times we're always looking at what we don't have or what's going wrong, that we need to start focusing on everything that we do have, that we're fortunate enough to have that others don't. The more grateful you can be, I think the more positive things start coming your way. So it's that law of attraction. We need to focus on what we want, stop focusing on what we don't want.
Interesting. I mean, it's a real simple formula. Like I told a kid the other day, I said, if you do bad things are going to happen. You do good things are going to happen. You should be appreciative of what you have. I do agree with that. But also forward thinking, I'm always looking at the next step and the next opportunity for myself and my family and for anybody that I work with. So be mindful of that too. Don't be complacent. Enjoy what you have, but there's always room for improvement. Making sure that we give back to people as well.
Well, we do have to give back. There's a really important person that Atlantic City just passed away recently, Mr. Sonny Lee. So he was a huge figure in the community of Atlantic City. I think his services are probably happening now at the Atlantic City Convention Center. But this guy was huge in connecting people to basketball, mainly like Ralph Tyler. He helped out. Dawn Stanley, so he helped out a lot of people who was taking kids up to the Sunny Hill League from Atlantic City. So it's a great loss to the community of Atlantic City. And from our empowerment perspective, we just want to say to the family, anything you guys need, feel free to reach out to us.
Definitely. I also want to offer this 100-day challenge to our listeners. Since we're talking about finances, I want you to pick one debt that you have. Something that's manageable, and I want you to see if you could pay it off in 100 days. I don't know how you're going to go about it because I don't know your personal situation, but let's focus on one credit card or one debt that you have, and let's see if we can get that down within 100 days. That's going to be the challenge that I'm offering our listeners out there, because to me that's really, really important.
That's big. So, 100 days is big. I think that's more than enough time, depending on how big that is. Like, I'm surprised when you guys mentioned somebody having $5,000 in debt. I can't imagine having $5,000 in debt and credit card debt at that. But student loans, absolutely, I can understand it. But credit card debt, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
$150,000. So, also coming up, I think, don't forget about our podcast. We're on the empowermentperspective.com.
Yes.
I actually was going to talk to you, Kareem, when we got off the air, but I think we have to go out to California.
We're going to Cali?
I think we need to go to Cali sometime soon, because our second largest market right now is in California with our podcast. So, Stacey, you in?
I got to figure out these 100 days first, and then maybe I can open up some money to go.
She got to go to. No, she's going to Sam's Club. So you got to get.
I don't have
tissues.
a Sam's membership. BJ's.
Where BJ? Okay, BJ's. She's going to BJ's. She got to get pretzels, and she got to get water. She got to get tissue.
Yeah. Ben, we talked about the financial literacy for the middle school. Can we use you as a consultant on that for the educational piece?
Absolutely, count me in, and I'll talk to my partner as well. I'm sure he'd love to help as well.
That is awesome. Any last words of advice from the financial world to our listeners?
Yeah, I think what you just recommended to folks, the 100-day challenge, is great. So that at the end of the day, if you can have some, to your point, having some positive impact, it kind of starts with kind of taking a hill, having a win. And I think if you can prove to yourself you can have one win, you can have another. So just I would encourage people to actually do that. And the last piece of advice I would have is don't be afraid of your finances. And a lot of people lack the skills, the time, the interest to actually sit down and write it all down and figure it out. And if that's you, sit down with a family member, find an advisor, find someone that can actually help you, but stop being afraid and pick your head up and try to figure it out. So.
The other piece is you got to earn more money too. Go out there and work. Like there's a lot of people that are, I can't stand people that aren't workaholics or that aren't out there really trying to improve themselves in their finances. You obviously created this mountain of debt. Guess what? It's time for you to maybe pick up that second job, or maybe it's time for you to think about a different career path. Don't be complacent. Keep working and trying to generate wealth. The other thing I would recommend is that you need to have multiple revenue streams. If you take a look at a company like Nike, they don't just sell shoes. They have a bunch of different ways to bring money in. So we need to start thinking about ourselves as a brand and our family as a brand, and looking at multiple revenue streams for your family. You have your main career, yes, but how else can you generate money for your family? Stacey, any last words?
No, I'm good today. I don't have it.
She has nothing. I looked at her paper again.
Gosh.
She has nothing. Nothing on the paper at all.
I have nothing.
Spence, any last words?
Yes, we are, I guess, looking for more petty correspondence. If anyone is interested in being petty and you want to share a petty story, hit us up. We'd love to hear it. And I'll give you some more petty advice.
Yeah.
Do they have to apply? Do they have to write like an essay so you can grade it first to see if they're
we definitely need to have a conversation before they call in. I know how petty people
gotta be a process.
Some petty people.
Absolutely. I know all about
It's
petty
funny.
people.
So don't forget, we'll be back on the air in 2 weeks. Don't forget to check us out at the www.theempowermentperspective.com. We are on all social media platforms. Atlanta, we're coming. Cali, we're coming. We're going to be out there. So
Vegas, we're coming.
You name it, we're going to be there. So if you want us to come to your city, check us out. Stay tuned for What's on Tap, Gary Monterosso. Stay empowered.